everybody. Welcome back to our zombie-centric reviews. Walking Dead's on a hiatus right now, so we're just taking a look at a couple movies here real quick. Last week we looked at Cargo, which, by the way, let me apologize for the quick abruptions in the audio for that. I was actually rendering a video as we were recording that. I will not make that mistake again. And I am not doing that tonight. And also tonight we are reviewing one of the latest zombie movies to come out. Came out in the U.S. last year. Came out in the UK the year before. The Girl with All the Gifts, based on the novel of the same name. With me, as usual, is Jason.
Yes. Much like an evening at Burning Man, today we are talking all about the shrooms.
You waited for that. You waited for a chance to say that. You
know it.
You plot these out now, don't you?
Oh yeah.
What is it going to be this week? Yeah. All right. I'm gonna move on. Gonna move on from that. So the Girl with All the Gifts. Continuing with our trend of unusual zombie movies. This one's very unusual. The zombies are similar in ways to The Last of Us, which you had brought up even before we started recording here. Which I think is if you know the game, if you know this movie, you're making some similarities as far as what is making them zombie-ish. The pandemic that has happened to this world is plant in nature. But very different movie overall in a lot of ways, not just that way. Overall feelings, Jason, what'd you think of this movie?
I enjoyed it. Also, for a quick recap of anybody who is not aware of The Last of Us, the premise of the movie that we're talking about is that a fungus-based strain infects people through airborne spores, and once they get infected, they turn into zombie-like creatures known as hungries. These creatures then attack people, spreading the spores through bites, scratches, your typical zombie fare. But once they reach an extended stage of infection with these spores, they actually fully die and start sprouting giant mushroom fungus-looking appendages, almost like a weird tree, out of their mouths and eyes and stuff. And these create spore pods.
Yummy.
These spore pods then release more airborne spores into the air to infect more healthy humans, and the cycle continues. That's just a quick overview.
Yeah, in The Last of Us, things are very highly contagious. Not quite as contagious in this world, although very similar to bites and scratches. It's a little hard to tell. These zombies certainly act like viral zombies. They're not dead.
No.
They are not dead. The hosts are not dead. The people are not dead. So it doesn't take a headshot to take them out. But they do attack like zombies. But it's a little confusing because Melanie wants to eat people. And it seems like they want to eat people. But do they need to eat people? Do they act like normal zombies that want to eat people, or are they like World War Z zombies that just kind of act like it, but they're actually just spreading the plague?
Here's my theory: is that Melanie and the other children like her only react to the scent of flesh, right? So my guess is that because they have a symbiotic relationship with the fungus inside of them, the fungus still retains some level of control because it's still part of their body and most likely part of their brain. So we know from psychology that smell is one of the big things that triggers a response in people. You smell good food coming from downstairs in your parents' house, and you start drooling like a dog looking at a T-bone.
Do you really start drooling like a dog?
No, sometimes, dude. Like when I get a whiff of my dad's spaghetti, oh man, dude, it just comes.
All right. So, yeah, we kind of skipped a little bit there, but yeah, if you have not seen this movie, well, first of all, you should, because like all of our reviews that are based on zombie movies or games or whatever, or TV shows, we're complete spoilers. We're talking about the contents of the movie. We are not doing your typical review. So this is going to be spoiler. You should watch it first before you go any further, and then come back. But yeah, so basically this movie is seen through the eyes of Melanie, who is an infected child who was uniquely infected through her mother having been infected and then giving birth, or at least the child to the point of
it eating its way out of
getting its way out of the pregnant mother, along with a handful of others just like this. They're a rare generation two, as they're said in the movie. They're a generation two, unique in the way that they are. But this is at well, geez, Melanie's got to be, 9-10 years old, so this is about at least 10 years into a pandemic, which has spread across, you have to assume at this point, the whole world, which has caused this apocalypse. And, we're seeing this world through the eyes of Melanie for the most part, and it's a very sheltered world because, and it's one of the first things that you notice when watching this movie. I mean, the military, which has got her housed and which is teaching her and training her along with about a couple dozen other kids, they are scared to death of her.
Oh yeah, they're terrified of these kids.
They cover their body in scent blocker. Unless they're chained and strapped into their wheelchair, they're at constant gunpoint. And that is, like you said, the mere scent of a person will set them off into a frenzy to want to bite. I don't know. I don't want to say to kill, but to want to bite and possibly
definitely eat
and or infect. And so what happens is that you finally get a scene of what's happening in the outside world, because for a while you literally just see things through the confines of what Melanie sees and what Melanie goes through, and you see that the humans are not winning this war. And after I'd say about a decade or so, things are still falling apart. What you're actually seeing, what you come to find in this movie, is that you're seeing what is probably one of the last stable civilizations it's the greater UK of somewhere in Europe. So, and you see its fall. The end of this movie is the end of the world.
Yeah. And for my money, my favorite part was seeing, the sort of feral society of, and again, huge spoilers here. Once Melanie gets out of the facility, and she does escape with a few others, she finds a bunch of feral Generation 2s who have sort of become a pack, almost, which is fascinating because humans as, intellectual creatures, we learn from our elders. These kids have had no elders. They live in a dead world filled with, mindless drones that are incapable of teaching them anything. So they've sort of devolved, almost like in a Lord of the Flies way. It's, really interesting that Melanie, who then comes in, is able to use, her smarts, her education, to very quickly assert her dominance over the rest of this group.
Yeah. So overall, we're talking a lot about Melanie. I just want to say that in painting some broad brushes, the cast here is awesome, and I think it's one of the biggest selling points of this movie. This is dealing with some heavy stuff, but it does it in a very intellectual and well acted way. Of course, you have Glenn Close, who, she doesn't normally do movies that fall into my wheelhouse, but she's great here. I know she's a great actress, and she's absolutely great here. This is one of those situations where just because of her, she could have phoned it in, just because it's got her name on it. But she actually does a really awesome job, and she elevates this movie on her own.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Her character is, again, probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic. But this movie deals at base value. The story of this movie is enough to work on, but really they flip things on their head. And at the core of this movie, I think, is a discussion that you and I immediately got into before we started recording, which is that who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. And I think the movie intentionally swerves you into thinking that Melanie is the hero here. Melanie is the good guy, and where I actually think that Glenn Close's character, Dr. Caroline, is the good guy. But
I don't.
since we're looking at things through Melanie's eyes, though, and we're taking things from the perspective of Melanie,
Yeah,
it obviously looks very different.
yeah. Well, and people in general, we are usually programmed to think of the protagonist or the main character of the story to be our good guy. Something that we've been raised with.
You can go ahead and use fancy words like protagonist, antagonist. I'm saying good guy, bad guy.
Okay.
I'm 5 over here.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
We've been, as children, we're raised on stories following the hero, vanquishing the villain, and in our media, too, Avengers doesn't follow the journey of Thanos. It follows the Avengers,
By the way, did you ever see Infinity War?
Yes, yeah,
okay,
I
good.
did.
We'll talk about that another time. I just wanted to make sure, because last time we talked about you hadn't seen it. No, right. Well, and that even being said, part of what Infinity War does, bringing that up real quick, is that we follow Thanos so much. It has actually made a lot of people who watch the movie give more thought to his plight and what he's trying to do. And that's intentional. And I thank you for bringing that up, because that's actually a good example of part of what they do here. Melanie's not a bad person, and actually some of the best villains are those that you can actually feel some compassion for and understand the perspective they're coming from.
Well, and I don't think that there is a definitive good or bad guy in this movie.
There is. There's the person who's trying to save the world, and there's the person who ended it.
No, there's a fight between two people who want to live.
No, that's true. That's true. You can take it down to that level.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that.
At the base of this movie, there are two kinds of humans. There are the Generation 2s, and then there are the old humans. And both of them want to survive, but neither one can survive and thrive while the other one lives. The Generation 2s won't be able to reproduce the world with other Generation 2s without, nothing to stop them, like the humans have been. They corral them, they educate them, they keep them in these stable facilities.
So here's the thing, and I don't know if it's a plot hole or if they do it intentionally or not. So here's a couple things. Can you? Okay, thank you, Roar. Roar turned on the air cleaner and then he turned it off.
Oh, good.
Could you hear that for a second?
No, you cut out.
Yeah, so all right. Anyways, that's my cat turning on and off appliances. So here's a few things. Dr. Caroline is insistent that she needs Melanie to create this vaccine, which I don't think she's wrong that she needs a Gen 2 samples from the brain and the spine in order to do it. But
no,
she never sees any of the other ones. And she's not. I believe she's told of their existence, but never sees any of the other ones. And this movie could have gone in a completely different direction if she would have said, "You know what? I don't need Melanie, and she's trying to help us. Let's grab one of those other Gen 2s that are around here."
Maybe, but my impression was that Melanie perhaps had certain specific antibodies or something that made her special.
That could be true. That could be it as well. But that's kind of the thinking I got. It's like, geez, if she would have broadened her mind here, if Dr. Caroline would have broadened her mind a little bit more on this, and be like, hey, there's a whole pack of them running around. They could probably capture one.
Yeah,
and use them. That I understand. The thing is, though, what bothers me the most, the first time I saw the ending, which, again, you should watch this before you're listening to this. Helen is captured and has. Ironic that she's now kind of in the world that Melanie was in, and I think that's intentional as far as the narration of the story.
Absolutely.
But this is just Melanie being an emotional, closed-minded child and not understanding the world that she's in and the better choices that could have been made. And,
maybe.
Well, because now she's
definitely, yeah.
She's stuck Helen in that little box now, and she wants her to teach. You see it right there at the end. She's miserable. She's crying, and she has to put on a face for the kids when it comes time for any hope of any kind of existence beyond the one that she currently has.
Yeah, and that is a rough reality to live with. This movie, I think, reinforces the idea that there are no clear-cut good choices. There are only choices and consequences that we have to live with.
I disagree with that because I still think the clear-cut choice is Dr. Caroline makes the vaccine and Melanie dies.
Yeah, you're clear-cut. Okay, but granted, you've made your opinion on child murder very clear from this last season of Fear. All right? Some of us still have a few qualms about offing children.
Well, here's the thing, and you had either not caught this or you'd forgotten, and I pointed out to you that Dr. Caroline does say at one point that the form that the viral and the fungal infection has taken within these Gen 2s is specific to them. In that scenario, in that case, I'm sure there's others in the world, but they can't procreate and create more Gen 2s.
Did they say that in the movie?
They did. There's no going. Yeah, there's no procreating from here. There's no adapting to this situation. These Gen 2s are specific in how they were created and where they are. And there's not going to be more.
See, I don't remember that. But even if that's the case, I don't think that she would be able to tell that because all of the Gen 2s are at the same age. They're all at the same stage. There's no way you can tell how puberty or other things are going to affect this fungal.
I mean, I take it at face value. This is the doctor person who knows how all this stuff works. So... I have to take that at face value. Yeah, when we were discussing it before the review, we could say, well, she could have been wrong, and she could have been wrong. There's nothing in the movie to indicate that she was wrong. There's nothing in the movie to think that is an option. And taking the knowledge that we have from the movie at face value, Melanie has doomed humanity in all of its forms.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I don't think it's necessarily the only ending, but...
Okay, well, you write your fan fiction.
Uh-huh.
No, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think that, while there is some heavy-hitting themes in this movie, I don't think you're supposed to go past that part too much. The story is basically saying, Melanie was in the situation. She could, and thinking about some more, I don't think, given her knowledge and what she's learning from the sheltered life that she had to the world that she sees and the people that are around her, looking at the war, looking at how horrible humans are to her, looking at Dr. Caroline wanting to kill her. And even that being said, she did try to keep Dr. Caroline and the sergeant alive.
Yeah,
it was of their own stupid choices that they did not. But at the same time, she's a 9-year-old kid with fungus around her brain, so I don't necessarily blame them too much for not believing her. It's not like she went to any lengths at all to try to explain the scenario that she was about to do, which is say, yeah, I'm going to go break those seeds open and we're going to end the world, but don't worry, you three will be okay.
Yeah,
and Dr. Caroline's going to die anyways, so.
At the end of the day, it comes down to, people. She made a choice, and
she certainly did.
Fundamentally, I think it comes down to the fact that no child, especially, but nobody in general wants to die. No one goes out there thinking, today's a great day to die.
Well, in Dr. Caroline does say this. Straight, she does tell Melanie, I mean, she was the one she was talking to, that Generation 2s are unique. And so Melanie knows this. Whether or not she chooses to believe it, or whether or not she cares. I mean, quite honestly, think back to when you were a kid. How often were you thinking about the next generation that you were going to procreate?
Oh, not at all.
Right.
So,
again, it's the short-sightedness of a child who doesn't know a lot. Now, that being said, something that is interesting at the end is that she does go back to the original military base, and she gets the other kids, which are assumed to be dead, but are all just fine.
Yeah. Did she get all of them, or
As
just
far as I
some
know,
of
they
them?
were all there because there was the kids in the hoodies, just like they all wore, and then
Yep.
there were the feral kids.
Yeah.
So I mean, you get this feeling of here is a new civilization. It's not gonna go anywhere, but I mean there is something to be said for you know adaptation, and these are the kids that have adapted. These are the ones that are immune to all this disease and all this fungus and all this viruses that are out there that's killed the world. They're immune. There's something to be said for this is our world.
Yeah. You know, uh, if you're right, and again, I still don't remember that line from the movie, but I'll take your word for it. They are the last generation of humanity. It would still be interesting to find out, as they get older, what they do with that knowledge.
Well, I think it's one of those situations where we're allowed to, like I said, write our own fan fiction and decide. I mean, you can make a decision that Dr. Caroline was wrong, or you can make the decision that another doctor somewhere else in the world comes up with a way to fix them and to fix humanity, regardless of what's happened. That being said, her burning that gigantic tree in the middle of that city is going to spread the disease and make it airborne worldwide.
Oh yeah.
So it's done. The world's over. And I think I think it would be interesting to see what happens if they made a sequel years down the line and showed us what has happened. But I think it's kind of fun to guess at the same time.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that does not need a sequel. I think the open ending, and the sort of, at least for me, with the more gray areas of the choices that the characters make, makes for wonderful discourse. It is a movie that sparks a conversation, and that's something that is always a fun time.
Right, and again, Glenn Close's character, Dr. Caroline, is in no way a nice person. She rubs you the wrong way. She cares only about what she's doing, and is willing to sacrifice anyone and anything to do it. That being said, and I think that's intentional. That these are traits that, through the eyes of Melanie, look horrible. But she's trying to save humanity.
Yeah, somebody once said that humanity, when faced with extinction, finds any alternative preferable.
Yeah. All right. So I don't think I've helped to change your mind on this at all, though.
No, I still don't believe that, given the information that we have about Melanie, that she took a wrong action,
Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I don't think she intentionally did. I think that she was doing. I think that she was making the best choice for herself.
Yeah.
I think she was making the best choice with the knowledge that she had. I mean, you got to think about the small amount of humanity that she'd seen and how horrible it was. Being called abortions and being constantly locked up. Not it's yeah. Coming from the perspective of a child, I do not blame her for the choice that she made. That doesn't mean it was the right choice. That's where I come from with it. You should definitely watch the movie again and check that out, because Dr. Caroline does go into detail a bit about what Melanie and those other kids were and how rare they are. And in the fact that there couldn't be another second generation, they cannot procreate and create more like them. And quite honestly, that was knowledge that I missed the first time I watched it. It wasn't until we had decided to review this and I'd watched it again that I caught that one, and that changed it for me quite a bit as well.
Yeah, it must have been something that I missed the first time, because I've only watched it the once.
Yeah, it's only brought up the one time. I believe it's brought up right after they left the military base and they're in the forest with the truck. and I believe that's when it's brought up somewhere around there, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so we dug into that. The zombies are cool.
Yeah, the tree burning was cool.
Yeah, the zombies were definitely cool, and I love how when you get these odd zombies in movies like this, and they have weird traits like them walking past them like they were was pretty awesome. The interaction of Melanie and the special kind of infected, but acts like a person kind of thing. I thought that was really neat. It was an interesting kind of when you have a movie like this and they set up the rules and they set up the game that the characters have to play. It does a really good job of doing that and doing it in an interesting way. I thought that was really neat. That was kind of the thing where I complained with Cargo a little bit. I thought Cargo did a bad job of explaining what the zombies were and the rules to the zombies and what they do and why they do it. Whereas I think this movie does a really good job of taking as little time as possible to explain these things and using a lot of what we already typically know about zombies through other media, but then playing off of it and creating a unique set of circumstances.
Yeah, but that it's comparing apples to oranges. I think that an argument could be made that Cargo was a movie that happened to have zombies in it. Zombies were not the main focus of it.
Absolutely, but it's still a zombie movie.
Yes, whereas this is a movie where the zombies are the main focus. They are the antagonists. They are the constant looming threat, or at least the fungus section of it is. It is the war that they are losing. It is an ever-present threat. So setting that up is a much more integral part to this movie than it would be for Cargo.
Well, I definitely see a difference between the two, but I would have to argue you with that at least on one point, which is that the zombie threat or the infection is a constant, ever-looming threat in Cargo as well.
Yeah, I suppose you're right there.
But
it didn't feel like it all the time.
The theme, the overall themes are different.
Yeah.
The narration and what they're trying to tell you is different.
There were points in Cargo where I forgot about the zombies. Whereas there was never a point in this movie where I forgot about the fungus people.
Right. No, I understand what you. There are definitely differences. But I think Cargo had a little bit more of a responsibility of explaining the world that we're in and why things are the way they are. When you're doing something like this type of movie, even if that's not the overlining theme, it is still a theme and it does need explanation.
Yeah.
I just why the honey glaze? Just tell me why the honey? Why are you sticking your head in the ground?
It's gonna be one of those things where years and years down the line, you're gonna meet the directors at some airport, and you're just gonna shout out from across the station, "Why the honey glaze?"
I will. I absolutely would. Why do zombies have a honey glaze?
I would love to see that.
I would totally do it. I would absolutely do it too. Yeah, but. Let's see, what else? What else about this? Because I feel like we definitely we jumped right into the core of this and some of the bigger themes, but the world they created here was really a lot of fun. And if anything else, if I would like to see a sequel solely just to see this world some more.
Yeah. No, it's a fascinating premise. Very well painted. I definitely would not mind seeing more of this movie, but I also think that part of the appeal of this movie is all of the mystery about it,
Mm-hmm. No, they told the story. I think at the end of the day, I would not want a sequel. But if they were going to make a sequel, I would want to see it mainly for that.
Yeah.
At least at face value right now. I don't think we're going to get one, though. I don't know if they wrote a sequel to the book. I'm not what you call a reader. So I gave up my reading days when I got done with college.
Yeah, the only thing I pick up these days is a textbook.
Yeah, you're gonna be picking up a lot of those coming up here.
Yup.
Yeah. Anything else, Jason? I think I've pretty much said my piece on it.
Yeah, I think the only thing left to do is give her a rating.
All right, so we're gonna rate this as a movie. So we do 1 out of 10 ratings. Let's see, 1 out of 10. Let's just go 1 out of 10 Gen 2s. What do you got, Jason?
I give it a 9 out of 10 Gen 2s.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. The storytelling was fantastic. The acting pulled it, above and beyond.
Yeah.
Probably because I went into the movie, like you said it. You said it was not going to disappoint, but I went into the movie with pretty low expectations, given the fact that I was watching it off of Amazon Prime.
Right. Yeah. This thing did not get a theatrical release in the U.S. and quite frankly, it was a big mistake. I know they thought about it for quite a while, and this thing was halted on its U.S. release because they weren't sure I think this would have done really well in theaters.
Absolutely.
But it went straight to DVD and it went to Amazon at the same time. In the UK, it did a lot different. It did a lot better, and it actually was released quite far ahead of what we got here. It's very disappointing. Somebody made a bad decision on this one, I think.
Yeah, but I think part of the reason, was because I came in with such low expectations that it just blew me out of the water.
Yeah,
I enjoyed myself immensely. I found myself enraptured in the world. There were no obvious points where anything took me out of the story. There was nothing that broke the story or the sequence or the world building for me. There was no glaring issues that I saw. The soundtrack was good. It wasn't monumental, but it was definitely great for what it needed to do. The pacing was fine. The dialogue was well written. The actors had great charisma on screen.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you completely. This is a great movie. I actually, I'm going to give it the same 9 out of 10 Gen 2s. This is a great movie. I'm happy to have this one in my collection. I bought the DVD for this. When I started seeing the ads for it, I was like, I could not wait for it to come out. So, yeah, I agree. 9 out of 10. So we are unanimous in 9 out of 10 on this. Let us know what you think, everyone. If you've caught this movie, there's definitely plenty to talk about. Let us know what you think about the movie in general. Let us know how you feel about the decision that was made, that Melanie made to basically end the world, but to save her kind and save herself.
Yeah. And if any of y'all have an Amazon Prime subscription, it's free on their streaming service if you have the subscription.
Yeah, there you go. Free if you've paid for the subscription.
Yeah.
Well, no. Amazon Prime is kind of like that. The movie service is, you come for the food, you stay for the show. So,
yeah.
Or is it the other way around? You came for the show, you stayed for the food. Which way is it?
Either way.
Either way works. But it's like that. But yeah, let us know what you think, and join into the debate. How do you feel about the decisions that were made in this, and how it plays out? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is Dr. Caroline the hero, or is Melanie the hero? Which one is it? How did you feel about it? This one definitely leaves you with some feels on the topic, and it's definitely one we're talking about. So go ahead and comment below. Please go ahead and subscribe and like. We need all those likes and subscriptions, as many as possible. But I think that is going to do it for us this time. We are done with the reviews for a while. We're going to start doing some Telltale Walking Dead until the second part of Season 4 of Fear. So yeah, Jason, any last words for them for about a month and a half?
Yeah, go out there and have fun, kids.
Go. There it is. Perfect. All right. Well, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything to go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Yeah, who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.